I left Christianity after learning that the Bible is a lie. In response to my departure from the religion, a Christian posted a comment on our channel quoting a Bible verse. See it on the screen now. 1 Timothy chapter 4 verse 1. The Spirit clearly says that in later times some will abandon the faith. Why did he quote this Bible verse to me? Because he is trying to explain why I left Christianity. Christians often use this verse to explain away the fact that people like me leave their religion. Instead of asking hard questions about why so many are walking away from Christianity, they point to this verse and say, "See, the Bible predicted it." But this is not prophecy. It is just a clever way of consoling insiders, fooling the Christians into believing that people leaving Christianity is not a weakness in their religion, but somehow proof of its strength. Let's take a closer look. The logic Christian use is simple. The Bible predicted that some would abandon Christianity. Today, people are abandoning Christianity. Therefore, prophecy fulfilled, and the Bible is true. At first glance, this might sound convincing if you don't examine it carefully. Here is the truth. The writer of this Bible verse in 1 Timothy chapter 4 was not predicting the future in this verse. He was simply responding to defections already happening in his own time. There was a problem in the church in their time. People were leaving Christianity in their time, and the writer was trying to fool the Christians by saying, yes, it's happening and this is the sign that we are in the later times. And 1 Timothy chapter 4 verse 1 is not unique. Other New Testament writers do the exact same thing. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 3, the Bible says, "Let no one deceive you in any way, for that day will not come unless the rebellion comes first, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction." This verse was written because some believers were already troubled that the day of the Lord had not come. The writer reframes the delay by saying defections must happen first. He says that people must leave Christianity first before the day of the Lord would come. That way, he was trying to show that defections, people leaving Christianity, don't disprove the religion, they become part of the religion, part of the plan. Also in 2 Peter, in the book of 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 1, the writer says, "But false prophets also arose among the people, just as there will be false teachers among you, who will secretly bring in destructive heresies, even denying the master who bought them, bringing upon themselves swift destruction." This Bible verse was written late, around 2nd century, after rival Christian groups were already competing with each other. The author calls the rivals false teachers, turning the existence of competing teachings into a predicted inevitability. In the book of Matthew chapter 24 verse 10, the author says, "And then many will fall away and betray one another and hate one another, and many false prophets will arise and lead many astray." This is Jesus supposedly predicting that many would fall away. But in reality, Matthew's gospel was written decades later, after the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD, when defections and false prophets were already a known problem. The author of this Matthew's gospel puts it in Jesus' mouth as a prophecy to show defections don't invalidate Christianity. It was not Jesus' own words. It was the writer's words put in Jesus' mouth as a prophecy to show that people leaving Christianity don't invalidate their religion. They work like this. Believers see other believers leaving Christianity. Instead of doubting the religion, they remember the Bible already said this would happen. Christianity survives. Not because prophecy came true, but because the writers tricked believers into ignoring the real problems when people quit. When you look at all these passages together, a clear pattern emerges. The writers of the New Testament were not giving divine prophecies about the future. They were creating clever explanations to deal with people quitting Christianity even in their own time. Instead of admitting that people were leaving because Christianity was failing to deliver on its promises, the writers rebranded this as proof of prophecy. In other words, they made up these claims to prevent remaining Christians from seeing the real problem, that their religion was not convincing enough to hold everyone. And even today, Christians continue the same tactic Whenever someone leaves Christianity, they don't ask why. They simply point to these verses and say, "See, it was predicted." It is not prophecy, it is damage control. And that is the death blow to this entire apologetic claim. But even if we ignore that, let's apply the same logic elsewhere. Because every religion makes similar predictions. In the Quran chapter 3 verse 72 we read, "A group from the people of the book say, believe in what has been revealed to the believers at the beginning of the day and reject it at the end of it, so that they might return to disbelief." Islam too warns that some will abandon their religion or plot against their faith. In the Hindu Bhagavata Purana, chapter 12, verse 2:1, describing the age of Kali, it says, "In the age of Kali, religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy, duration of life, physical strength, and memory will all diminish day by day because of the powerful influence of the age of Kali." Hindu texts also predict that people will abandon righteousness and devotion. So, if predictions about people leaving their religions prove divine truth, then Islam and Hinduism are also equally true. Clearly, that argument collapses. Now, here is the irony. 1 Timothy chapter 4 verse 1 actually undermines Christianity. It shows that even in the first century, Christians already knew people would walk away. And instead of facing that honestly, the writer rebranded people leaving Christianity as a fulfillment of prophecy to protect the faith from scrutiny. And this is the very deception that has allowed religions, especially Christianity, to survive for centuries. Whenever people leave, it's not treated as evidence that something is wrong with the religion. Instead, it is spun as fulfilling prophecy so that the belief system can never be falsified. So let's be clear. This verse is not supernatural foresight. It is not unique. Every religion predicts defections. And most importantly, it was written as damage control, a way to spin departure as part of God's plan. That is not prophecy, that is manipulation. And once you recognize this trick, you start to see it everywhere in religious texts.